Going too fast, 30 miles an hour. Savage overtaking maneuver. Yeah, that's bright, isn't it? Oh, shit. Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to Auto Shenanigans. My name is John and you join me on top of a multi-storey car park, but that's not important right now. This is my 1999 Nissan Skyline R34 GTT. I've had it for some time now, and with 178,000 miles on the clock, it certainly had a fair amount of usage. I've never thought to myself, I wonder how far on a fuel tank I can get in this, or I've never thought, do I need to worry about the miles per gallon in this car? Because of course you don't buy this car for fuel economy, you buy it for the lols. Today we aim to answer a very big question that is on the lips of absolutely nobody. Just how fuel efficient can an R34 GTT Skyline be? Recently, you may remember that there was a bit of a fuel situation in the UK where none of us could get any fuel for a matter of days, and it absolutely ruined the country completely and sent us all into a blind panic. And that got me thinking, if I was in a situation where I needed to save fuel, just how far could I get to one tank of gas from the Nissan Skyline? So we pick up the action in a place called Buckton, just pulling out of the Shell garage. We've just brimmed the tank. So fasten your seatbelts and hold on for this absolute roller coaster of a very slow drive indeed. That is the petrol tank completely brimmed to the first click. We've used V-Power goodness, of course. Just trying to pull out of the petrol station now and join the A1, so already just sat here is costing me fuel. However, once we get on our way, let the most boring journey we've ever seen in a Skyline commence. Immediately pulling into lane 1, 30 miles an hour, 35, 40 miles an hour, 50. I've kind of just jumped into this really with very little planning or thought to it, so the idea is to just sit on the A1 heading north, probably to like Newcastle, I guess, I don't know, and then drive all the way back, and we shall see how far we can actually push the mileage or the range on the 1999 Nissan Skyline, which, as I'm sure I've said, has 177,000 miles on the clock. It runs and it works, but does it work as well as when it was new? I'm not so sure. I didn't really bring any food or anything, but I did secure. I also got the chocolate version as well. Going too fast, I'm doing 57, I need to slow down. So what do we think, ladies and gentlemen? What sort of range do we guess that we're going to get out of the Skyline? As I'm sure you know, it's an RB25 straight 6 engine, 2.5 litres with a massive single turbo. Has been tweaked slightly and it runs around 350 horsepower. But if you had to guess, what do you reckon? 250 miles, 300, 350, 400, 500 miles.
Place your bets now! Come on, quick, bet! Betting ends!
Whatever it is, chuck a comment on there, let us know what you reckon, and we'll see if you are right or wrong. There are no prizes. And you know what, whilst you're there, you might as well hit the old subscribe button, notification bell, smash the old like button as well. That really helps us and the channel grow. If you want to see more exhilarating videos, then yeah, that would be really great. Thanks, guys. Oh, I didn't bring any spare fuel with me, by the way. Such was the lack of planning. So if I run out at the side of the road, nothing. we're going to be here for a little while, viewers, I thought maybe I could talk you through some of the creature comforts that you get included with the Nissan R34 Skyline as standard. So, firstly, you get electrical windows. There is air conditioning, but that doesn't work. There's an interior light. 2 cup holders in the middle, but not big enough to hold 2 everyday cups, but the seats are foam and cloth and 20 years old, and that's very apparent. There's no such thing as cruise control in this car either, so everything has to be done with your right foot. Now, some might call that driving, so my plan was to jump on the A1, which is where we are obviously, and tuck in behind a lorry almost immediately and sit in their slipstream, hopefully the entire way there, thus maximising our fuel range, having to resist the temptation to stop at every services to get another coffee. Hello, my name is John and I am a caffeine addict. There's a bastard who's tucked in behind the lorry that I wanted to use to slipstream. It's obviously got the same idea. We can't both be cheapskates, come on. Right, a gap has opened up between this car and the lorry that I want to slipstream, so I am going to overtake. Savage overtaking manoeuvre at 55 miles per hour. Which just goes to show how slow some people really do drive. Here we go, ladies and gents, as I'm sure you can see, I have achieved my first goal of the mission, tucking in behind a lorry. I can't see anything that's in front of me, and this feels incredibly dangerous. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Conway Twitty. I'm driving. My previous lorry friend left the motorway, so I have picked up a new lorry friend, which I'm sure you can see. What interests me about this one, though, is the sign on the back. It says, and I don't know if you can read it, possibly limited to 53 miles per hour. Possibly. So it might be limited to 53 miles an hour. Of course, it might also be able to do 400 miles an hour. I guess we'll never know. Just ticked over 100 miles, so a little bit of a sit rep. I'm still sat on the A1. We've done 100 miles. The fuel gauge is still showing fairly plentiful fuel, way more than 3/4 of a tank left, so that's pretty decent. We're just passing Doncaster, and so far I've resisted the urge to use the turbo. Bless it, it's sat there probably wondering, what are you doing? I'm now sat behind another lorry, which I think so far is probably the best strategy to get as many miles out of this as we can. And I'm still being overtaken by everyone. Whilst I think this is a great idea for a video, to actually come out and do it, less so. It's quite boring, and I know I've got such a long way to go, and I'm already thinking, this was a bad idea. Not only that though, it presents quite a challenge as a YouTube creator slash filmmaker, because how do you make somebody sat as slow as they can go on the A1 interesting? Well, if you've got any ideas, do let me know. Bye, Parcel Force friend. We're now going to catch up with Asda lorry friend. And that is a super tall lorry, that is. Just seeing signs for York, which I believe is in Yorkshire. What that means is I am definitely up north, 127 miles in now. I'm not really sure what we're going to do. I think the plan is to keep going till I get to about 200 miles from home, and then we're going to turn around and go back, because by the time I get towards home, that's going to be totaling up to near 400 miles. I can't imagine we're going to get close to that sort of mileage, so yeah, it seems to be the sensible option. I'd love to share some fantastic scenery and some great views with you. Unfortunately, the best we're going to do on this trip is the back end of a Subaru Forester XT. We have just clocked over 200 miles on this rather slow journey. I think now is the time to probably find somewhere to sort of turn around and pretty much head home. So I can't imagine we're going to do more than 400 miles out of a full tank. That said, we are showing very much more than half a tank fuel on the gauge, so you never know, it isn't possible. It's about 25 to 6 in the evening, and we set off at around sort of 1:30, 2 o'clock, so yes, taken a fair old while to only do 200 miles. Situation report. I am at Washington Services, where I am going to get a well-deserved coffee, have a little toilet break because I haven't got out of the car since getting in and setting off on this mission. We've done 207 miles and we've still got over half a tank of fuel, which is rather promising and rather surprising as well. If, like me, you enjoy service stations, you might like our series on motorway service stations, where we travelled over 5,000 miles to visit every single motorway service station in the UK. I shall put up a link or something. Might even be the other side, I'm not really sure from this perspective. In any case, be sure to check that out. There's lots of interesting things to find out about service stations. And as I say, we visited every single one of them. Right, that's the plug for other videos over. I'm going to have a little bit of this and just chill for 5 minutes, but once that's done, going to turn myself around and start heading back towards Auto Shenanigans HQ. Fuck! Well, shit. Obviously driving slowly is not good for cars. Oh, it's gone off. On the first day, God said, "Let there be light," and there was. Yeah, that's bright, isn't it? It's not far off 8 o'clock, and we have done, well, just over 300 miles now. We've got not much over a quarter of a tank, but I am optimistic. Well, hello there. I have just made a quick stop at Blythe Services. It's 8:30. We are now up to 327 miles. Couldn't hold my bladder anymore, so it had to be done. I'm going to crack on now, rejoin the A1 South, and carry on going and see how far we can get. How much fun is this, ladies and gentlemen? I bet you're glad you've stuck around and watched it this long. Right, just a little bit of a sit rep for you. So I'm just coming up to 360 miles on the clock, pretty decent, and the petrol gauge is hovering around quarter of a tank still, so that leads me to believe that it's probably failed. It is now, it's just gone 9 o'clock, so it's getting on. Started this at about 1:30, I think, so I thought I'd be done by 5 o'clock, to be honest, but I think that might have been slightly optimistic. Well, we have cracked over 400 miles, which is incredible. I'm now south of Peterborough, still on the A1, which interestingly is about sort of 20 miles or so from Auto Shenanigans HQ. At this point, I'm just wondering, do I just go home? No, I won't do that. I'm going to carry on heading down the A1 because it gives me a straight road to play with and I can carry on sitting at these sort of speeds. For some reason, the petrol light is not on yet. So we've done over 400, it's actually, as I speak, 404 miles. So we've done over 400 miles to 1 tank of fuel. And the petrol light hasn't come on yet. This is incredible. I'm absolutely amazed. So I'm going to carry on and we'll see how far we can get before I chicken out. There's a lorry just in front of me, which I am very slowly catching. The petrol light is still not on, but I figure if I can tuck in behind him for, you know, whatever time, then hopefully we can squeeze a few more miles out of her yet. I may have spoken a little bit too soon there, so the petrol light of doom has just come on at 409 miles. This is where it starts to get interesting. We've sat through all of this just for this bit, really, to see if I break down or not. 422 miles and still counting. I am beginning to get a little bit nervous, I must admit. The petrol gauge is really quite low. Not low enough for me to panic yet, but I am really beginning to consider my options. I have a Shell garage, and it has to be Shell, of course. We need the 99 RON goodness in this. I've got a garage in about 3 miles. After that, it's a bit longer. I'm not sure whether to throw in the towel or carry on. How's this for stupid? So what I've done is drive past the Shell garage because I want to get to 430 miles on the clock, which I've got a few miles to go until I manage that. Rather than drive out of the way, I'm going to just keep going up and down around the Shell garage area. That way, if I do break down, I am only a short distance away from the petrol station. The gauge really is looking rather empty now indeed. I'm beginning to get a little bit worried, it's fair to say, but I am determined to get this 430 mile marker out of the car at least, so wish me luck. You'll either see me next at the petrol station or at the side of the road, either or. I know which you'd rather see, obviously. I've only gone and fucking made it. 430.5 miles. Right, I put some fuel in and finally I am free of the 50 mile an hour driving, so I can... Woo-hoo! Can use a bit of the turbo. The poor thing has had a day off, it would seem. Wakey wakey. I cannot believe 430 miles from one tank. I mean, well, I sort of can because of the absolute Miss Daisy driving. We'll look at some details in a moment, but for now my focus is going to be getting home and getting to bed because it is 10:30 and I've been driving all day. As you know, you've been coming along for the journey, so I shall see you guys shortly. Well, wasn't that exciting, ladies and gentlemen? I hope you enjoyed the trip. So let's have a look at some of the facts and figures. The late 90s Japanese superstar has a 60-litre fuel tank. At the end, I was able to fit 55.6 litres of fuel in, so obviously that's how much we've used. If we then calculate that real quick, what that means, ladies and gentlemen, is this car has averaged 35.1 miles per gallon. You are a winner! 35.1 miles per gallon. Yes, I said that again, ladies and gentlemen, just in case you misheard me. It's a figure I would never have expected from such a car. Furthermore, what's interesting is I filled up with 55.6 litres of fuel, meaning there was about a gallon's worth of fuel remaining in the tank. So that means we could have potentially done another 35 miles, which would have taken our total up to 465. It's getting awfully close to 500, don't you think? And I can't help but feel 500 miles from one tank would be a really nice rounded figure. So if you'd like to see me attempt this again, with a little bit more planning, a little bit more backup and everything else, I wonder, ladies and gentlemen, if we could get 500 miles from one tank. Hit the old like button. If we get to 500 likes, then I'll give it a go and waste a lot of my time. However, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Take care of yourselves. Thank you very much for joining us. I've been John. You've been watching Auto Shenanigans. This is my late 90s JDM Superstar. We will see you guys again soon. Take care.